My apology to Golden Fox. This was about a day and a half after I let out that relentless rant against him, and in that short amount of time, I was really starting to have second thoughts about what I was doing until I finally came to the acceptance that what I did was wrong and I should apologize for it. And the surprising thing is a lot of things that were leading up to when I made this video. I got a video response from FNGR, comments from people in the Bronalysis League, learning about what they were saying about what I was doing behind my back. It really was a lot to take in, and even then, I was kind of hesitant to admit or even believe that what I was doing was a bad thing because I really seemed attached and dedicated to this rant series. And then I figured maybe I could just leave a comment on Goldie's DeviantArt asking him how he's doing because I figured he might have known about what I was doing and maybe he shouldn't see it. Of course, he was already in the process of responding to it, and when I saw how he responded to it, I was shocked. I thought he was going to hate me, given his short-tempered history, and he didn't. He seemed very collective and forgiving for what I did, and I think that journal really puts it into a good perspective. I actually kind of felt proud that he didn't get short-tempered with me, despite that he had every right to be angry with me, especially after I said that comment about Mage's artwork and how I made him physically nauseous, and I think that was the point that I realized that I was being a bully, that I was causing someone to feel uncomfortable. I actually went over my idea for how I was going to apologize. I went over it a couple of times, and I finally came to the conclusion that I should admit to a lot of feelings that I had up to this point, how I really wasn't a fan of those Season 4 reviews, and how I just was so relentless in how I felt like I needed to get my frustration out because I really didn't know how to do it appropriately at the time. Somewhere in the comment section of that video is someone who posted a collection of links, and they were all these really, really good Toonami speeches, and they were actually reflecting on what I was starting to feel, what I really wanted to feel, despite that I still felt obligated to do those last two rants on Digi and Tommy. As much as I felt like I needed to finish this, I didn't want to be that person anymore. I didn't want to feel like hate-filled, angry person anymore. Looking back on how ashamed that I felt with myself at the time that I made that apology to him, it really hits home how far I've come since I made that apology. And how even if my additional thoughts on Biter wasn't a good start to that new phase, it really shows that I just wanted to try and be different from that. And I'd like to believe that I've come a long way in being different since I did that. Talking about how proud I was of Golden Fox, that he was responding to me the way that he did, and how I just wanted to talk to him about how I felt, about how horrible I must have been that whole time, and how ever since that happened, we've been on better terms. And I think that's the best thing that I gained from making that video, that I just get to be on better terms with Golden Fox from now on, and that I can completely put behind me that stupid rant phase that I was going through, and that I can always look back on this apology and how it helped me become a different person. with a new outlook on this fandom. The thank you to Amy Keating Rogers. With Season 5 being the end of Amy Keating Rogers' run with the show, and with the main attraction being the last episode that she would write, I think that this would have been a good time as any to just take everything that she's ever done and put it all into one video to just properly capture the feeling and the presence that she brings to the episodes that she writes. And I myself have never really thought too much about who was writing which episode, because every one of these writers is capable of writing a good and not so good episode, as I've experienced. However, what makes Amy Keating Rogers an exception to this is how different she was compared to all of the other writers, both in terms in writing for an episode and how much she stood out in the eyes of the fandom because of the presence she brought to her writing. I mean, I'm looking back to every single one of the episodes that Amy wrote for Season 5, and I mean, look at what she gave us. She gave us an episode where Gilda has proper closure with Rainbow Dash and she becomes a better character. We get the episode where Rarity finally opens her boutique in Canterlot, and how she has this really, really great conflict on having a business versus your vision as an artist. We got Crusaders of the Lost Mark, and after all the hard work they've been through, the CMC finally got their cutie marks, and they're going to start doing something new with their lives, and that's great. The main attraction, an episode that showed us that Applejack is at her best when she is helping others, and it was the first great Applejack episode in such a long time. Amy Keating Rogers was right there with Lauren Faust when she was writing The Ticketmaster, so she was there from the absolute very beginning. And considering that in one season she accomplished 2 of Lauren Faust's main visions for the show, I think it's a way of saying that she knew what Lauren Faust wanted for the show than anyone on the staff, or possibly anyone in this fandom. I don't know if I could ever find the right combination of words that can absolutely, definitively, appropriately describe what it was like seeing how she wrote these episodes and how she participated in the staff. Even some of her least good episodes had something worth memorizing about them, like the cutie pox, like all of those different cutie mark effects. They were nice. And at her best, she was like on such a roll. Pinky Pride, my all-time favorite episode of the series. She wrote that episode. And even if she manages to have a little hiccup or a bump in the road, she always finds a way to kick back. She just gets up again, and she just gives us some of the best that the show has to offer. I don't know how the hell she does it. Is it because of the characters that she has to write for? Is it because of the stories that she thinks of? Is it because of the direction that she's been given and how she has to work off of that direction her own way? She has probably done it in a way that no other writer on the staff has ever done it. Not even Megan McCarthy, who, from what I've heard, is supposed to be working on the MLP movie. If I can openly admit that I'm more attracted to Amy Keating Rogers' writing style over Megan McCarthy's, despite that she's the most well-known and widely admired writer for the show, to the point that she was asked out of all the other writers to work on the movie, I think that's what I was looking for. I think that's the combination of words that I think best describes how much Amy Keating Rogers meant to the show and how much she meant to the fandom, despite all of those ingrates, those fuckers who sent those threats to her, and I am so sorry for her that she had to put up with so much shit before she decided to go and work for Disney. She didn't deserve it, and if I could just somehow talk to her and let her know how much she meant to this fandom and to the show, I would just tell her straight-faced everything that I went over just now. I would try to remember it to the best of my ability. I would tell her everything that I'm saying right now, and I just want her to understand that no matter what happens, no matter what she does while she starts working for Disney, I cannot think of another writer who could have possibly contributed so much to MLP to make it such a worthwhile show to watch than Amy Keating Rogers. And to prove that, I took clips of every single episode she's ever worked with, that she ever wrote, and I put it all into that tribute video. I think it was a great send-off for Amy Keating Rogers, and I think it was really good closure for all of us. So, Amy, if by some chance you come across this, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, and I hope you're doing great. My top 5 mistakes countdown. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you saw this one coming, and it was obviously going to be on the list for obvious reasons, but I think a unique reason as to why this video makes it onto the list is because it fits with the theme of this countdown. This is me looking back to everything I've been through up to this point, and at the time, this countdown was looking back to things that I did up to the release of this video. And I think that's what a video like this is meant to do. It's meant for the person behind all of this content creation to look back to all the things that they've done. They have to contemplate what they don't really like about what they've done so far, and they have to think about what they can do to prevent those mistakes from being repeated in the future, or new types of mistakes, by going back to these videos and learning something from them. And I learned a lot from this experience. I learned how possible it is that a person can change so much in such a short amount of time. I learned to look back at some of my older reviews and tributes, and I had to accept that no matter how good I tried to make them, they were obviously going to have duds and flaws in them. I learned that making mistakes is part of becoming a much better person, even if you don't think that you're making mistakes at the time. It felt really good taking in all of these warm feelings that I was starting to have when I came to realize that I shouldn't be doing this rant stuff anymore. And when I came out to do that Tommy Oliver rant, so many people were commenting on how I've changed, how there's kind of a story behind all this, how it shows how much I've evolved as a reviewer, as a member of this fandom, and as an individual since I started this channel. Now, a fun fact is that I was thinking about how I was going to edit this video when I had to go visit my grandpa for a couple of days. So I brought my laptop with me at the time when it wasn't busted, and I also brought my microphone with me. I waited for when there wasn't any noise in the house. I just waited for Grandpa and his friend to fall asleep. Then I would sneak my way into the garage where I could record my speech for this video. And it really wasn't easy. I think it took like a couple of minutes to adjust to the background of my grandfather's garage. And then I had to try and be as quiet as possible so I wouldn't make any loud noises that would have woken them up. I had to be cautious with the sound of my voice, as well as the sounds that I would make going in and out of that house. It was a video that I was doing work for while I was outside of the environment that I normally do this stuff in, and it turned out surprisingly well. I managed to get all of the scenes to sync in together, I managed to get all of the audio to come out right. And I made it through the difficulty of having to talk about something that I feel very, very ashamed of. And I talked about it in a way that really captures the guilt that I was going through at the time. I felt so bad that I was going so far to hurt some other people, and I just didn't want that to happen anymore. I just wanted it to be over with, and I was reflecting on that as I thought about how I was going to talk about that. What kind of words was I going to use to get people to understand that this is how I feel now when I look back to those 5 videos that I made that now I realize are pretty crappy. And I just really, really want to work towards a better future for my reputation as a reviewer for this show and anything else that I might do a review on. It was the true ending to my rant phase, the true closure to that chapter in my story, the aftermath of everything that I went through, everything that I felt, everything that I had to experience in order to properly change the way that I did, in a way that isn't just expected of me, but in a way that I wanted to change for the better. As I look back to this first countdown, I truly believe that this video properly captures that motivation, and I could now start a new chapter in my story as this YouTube content creator. Everything I had to say about Appaloosa's Most Wanted, that One Note MisAnthro review that I'm gonna be doing a remake on sometime soon, my feelings towards Spider, my feelings towards Mage, my feelings towards Golden Fox, and how I've practically become friends with all of them since, I started going through with this change of heart. So yeah, as I look back to it, it really captures the new me. It captures what I feel like is going to be good for my channel from now on, and it really expresses how badly I wanted to make up for being such a screwball. I made some mistakes, but it's all part of the learning process. My 1-year anniversary special featuring Season 5 memories. For this to be my latest project, something that just recently came out, it really amazes me how proud I am of it above most of my other videos. It's not just a montage of episodes and other people's videos that came out during this time. It felt like a compilation of emotions, because a lot of things did happen in the span of Season 5 episode releases, and for all of it to be shown the impact that it had on bronies and viewers of these channels, having it all being put into one video altogether, it shows us everything that we've been through in the last couple of months as a fandom and as a community. We celebrated some long-awaited events like Rarity opening her boutique, or the Cutie Mark Crusaders, finally getting their cutie marks. And we were celebrating things that we didn't even know we would be celebrating, like an episode that reflects on how much Twilight has changed, and how she uses that knowledge to help someone going through a mirroring dilemma. We celebrated an episode where Big Mac cross-dressed just because he wanted to make his little sister happy and get her to look up to him. Rainbow Dash accepting the nature of a turtle going through hibernation. Applejack helping an old friend to learn that the best way to succeed in life is being true to yourself. The rise of a new generation of brony analysts, some old returning faces coming back to make a few videos on an actual schedule. Even some people who don't believe in regularly reviewing the show anymore still came out in some way just to express their appreciation for this show that they ended up becoming a fan of. So much content creation by all of these different people. in such a small amount of time. And oh man, there were so many roller coasters of emotions that we went through as well. When we went through everything that we went through just to make sure that Keyframe would be able to have a better life, and then we were willing to put some time aside in order to do the same thing for Fallen Wish. And then we did it again for Dewolstinator's mother, and he had some happy news to share with us on Thanksgiving Day. Even if it may not seem like it, we went through a lot of things this season, and I think, in a way, that's what makes Season 5 my favorite season. It's the season that changed everything for a lot of people who had some kind of viewpoint on this show. Things happened, decisions were made, new faces arrived onto the scene, and the staff of My Little Pony was in the middle of all of it, doing their best to create episodes that everyone would love to watch and talk about. The funny thing is, I was actually going to use different music for this video, this anniversary. I wanted to use a song that unfortunately I couldn't use because of copyright bullshit. So, at the last minute decision, I decided, well, I like Kingdom Hearts, so I just took the ending credit themes from the first and second games from initial PS2 releases. And I just managed to get all of it done on the 17th, on my first anniversary as this content creator. And I honestly cannot think of a better time that this video could have been released. It came out at just the right time, not too late, not too soon, and the subject is just a very perfect thing to make a video about around this time. Even at the time of this recording, people out there are still talking about what they thought of Season 5 and how much of an impact it has had on us. And I think it was nice to make a video focusing solely on that. The things we saw, how we felt about them, and what we had to say about them. I have rewatched this whole video a number of times since I made it and put it out, and I'm still getting chills seeing how much effort I put into this, how much timing I put into this, how much of an impact this one video has had on me in such a short amount of time. I honestly cannot think of a better video that I could have put out, except for the one that's coming up next. Keyframe. I am so sorry for everything that you've been through. And I'm sorry for everything that I did in the time that this was happening to you. You were going through a hell that I cannot even describe. And I was selfishly creating a series of videos that bashed your boyfriend and some of your closest friends. It makes me believe that I don't even deserve to be thought of as a member of this fandom. That I was being so stupid before I could have done anything to help you. Yes, out of all the videos that I've done so far, my thoughts on the Save Keyframe Aftermath is the one that I'm most proud of. It's about how I felt during and after I watched that video, that one that has been set to private on Dewolstinator's channel. There are so many reasons why, out of all the videos I've done so far, this one is the one that I'm most proud of. The first one is that it is completely unscripted. I was just sitting there thinking about what would the right words be to use for what I was feeling when all of these events were going on in my head, when I wanted to talk about how I was feeling about it. This was not something that I wanted to be scripted because the commentary was on a very important topic and I wanted it to feel real. Every single line of dialogue that you hear on that video is not something that I wrote down. It had to come to me. It came to me naturally, and I just spoke out what I was feeling based on all of the emotions that was going on inside of me. You know, it's a lot easier to make a video if you're scripting out what you want to say, but what makes an unscripted video better in some ways is that it feels a lot more real. It feels like you truly had something to say about what you're talking about, and this is how you truly feel about the subject. Nothing about it is being planned or edited together. It just comes to you, these feelings that you have, and you have them translated into words. And as these words come out, as your commentary goes on and on, it builds up even more. It builds towards those big feelings that you want to get out of you. And it's easier to believe these words because they're not something that was written on a piece of paper. It's something that came from, your heart, or something, just as equally cheesy. The meaning of these words are stronger, more believable, more special, more unique, because you were able to figure out everything that you wanted to say on your own. You didn't need any help from what was written on a document. It all just came to you. And that's really what makes it special. The second reason why this video is so special to me is it's one that didn't need to exist. I mean, even the rants kind of had a purpose to them. They were a part of my progression, or I had to go through a learning process. There was no reason for me to make this video. I mean, I remember I was having a conversation with Mage on Skype, and she told me, "Why did you feel like you needed to make that video? It wasn't something that you had to do, and it wasn't something that you needed to do." And that's just it. It wasn't something that I needed to do, but I just really wanted to do something like this. I wanted to talk about how I feel about Keyframe's journey through all of these hard times, and how, despite everything she went through, she still made it through all the way to the end. She earned that happy ending that she more than deserves. I wanted to let anyone watching it know how happy I was for her, how bad I felt for her, how much sympathy, how much I wish I could have done more, how much I wished that I knew about it sooner so I could have helped in some way. And what I really wanted to do was, I wanted to reach out to Keyframe herself. At some point, I was starting to directly talk to Keyframe. It wasn't just me expressing my thoughts. I just wanted to say something to her, to give her some kind of gratitude that I was so proud of her that she managed to get through all of this. And it was really hard to get through this, and it was not something she could have ever done by herself. She had Golden Fox, she had Lightning Bliss, she had Eliora, she had TK, she had the Wilstonator, she had the Rift, she had ANY, she had everyone who saw that video and took time to do something for her. They just raised awareness, they spreaded the word, they gave whatever kind of money that they could to her GoFundMe. It made me realize how much of a blessing that My Little Pony Friendship is Magic actually is. This show created a fan base that later down the road helped save someone's life. And I honestly don't even want to think about what could have happened differently if she never became a fan of the show, if the fandom never developed the way that it did, to the point where someone it could get into contact with Keyframe on Skype through another Brony analyst or something like that. I really wanted to express how I felt about these things. and I just felt like I wanted to do it. Anyone could have just left a comment on that video saying that they're very happy that she's gonna be in a better place soon, but I just felt like I wanted to take the time to collect everything that I felt, everything that I wanted to say, and just put it into an audio file and have it formatted into some kind of picture with Golden Fox cuddling to comfort Key, put it all together and make a video on it. I just wanted to do it so much, and I really believe that it was a good thing for me to do, that I wanted to do something for Key like this, even though I didn't have to. The third reason that I like this video is because it is so full of emotion, that there are so many different waves of emotions that I go through as all of those thoughts and memories coursed through my head. And because it was unscripted, the emotions themselves also felt more real. Like, the anger was real, the guilt was real, the hope was real, the fear, the concern, the turmoil, the happiness, the relief. It all felt just real. I was expressing myself and my true feelings in that video in a way that I never was before, and I really haven't done since. I still think back to how infuriated I was with Keyframe's parents, that they were trusted with the responsibility of loving, raising, and protecting this child, and they betrayed that trust. Even now, I just keep thinking about how much I want something bad to happen to them. And that feeling of wanting to see them face proper judgment for what they did, it's in the video too, it's still present. Looking back on it, watching it again, there's chills. It gives me chills, remembering how angry I was, how infuriated I was. It kind of ended up surprising me. A video from months ago surprised me, and that's a really impressive feat for my videos. I impressed myself with how much emotion I was expressing with each passing second. And when it was time for my anger to subdue so that I could talk about more important things, I just really started going into how honest I was about how foolish I was being, how horrible I started to feel about myself, that in a time that she was going through something horrifying, I was being selfish. I was using that time to attack people. And that is just an unforgivable thing to do. That Golden Fox had something more important to worry about, and I was making him worried about what some jerk had to say about his videos. As it went on and on, I was starting to go through different stages of this guilt that was in my head for a long time. I was just thinking of what I could say just to let her understand that I really was sorry for all of the bad things that I've done. This whole keyframe situation actually taught me a very important lesson, how to never waste your time being angry, because you'll never know if someone is going through worse in the time that you're just being so selfish, and your selfishness could have been devoted to time better spent on helping these less fortunate. I really had a lot to get off my chest, and I think that developing thoughts on the Save Keyframe Aftermath was the best way to get them out of me. It was the best motivation to finally express these emotions properly that I just wanted to talk about. And I was actually surprised with how I managed to keep it going for about 16 whole minutes, I just kept on going and going and going. I just kept on talking and talking and talking about how I felt and how I just needed to get this out. No other video that I've ever done a recording for has given me that kind of feeling. That feeling that I just kept on going even if I got stuck somewhere, even if I felt like there couldn't have possibly been anything else I could have said. I found something else I could have said. I somehow managed to think of something else to say, to talk about. It's about how long I talked about it, how I felt while talking about it, and how motivated I felt that I just needed to keep it going for as long as it did. Confessing all of these feelings, admitting that I'm not a smart person, and that I've always acted on my emotions, that I always just did things, and I thought about things based on how I felt about something that happened, or what someone said about something that I was connected to in some way. And when I finally got to that last minute and 20 seconds, it all came around full circle. I finally got to talk about how happy I was for her, that she was finally going to have a better life, the one that she deserved. How all the hardship, all the pain, all of the misfortune, it was finally worth something. All those bad days, all those hard times, were finally worth it because of that wonderful, heartwarming something at the end. It truly was a hard journey for everybody involved, and especially for her. But in the end, she was rewarded. She was rewarded with a safer environment, a loving boyfriend, a loyal group of friends, but most importantly, a better life. And somewhere down the line, so many more happy things are expected to happen to her. Whether it be graduating with honors from that university she always wanted to go to, or getting the chance to be the mother that she never had herself. She earned that happy ending. And that happy ending is part of an entirely new beginning for her. And I just really felt great getting to talk about all of those things, regardless of the viewership that that video would receive. It truly amazes me, even to this day, how that video came out the way that it did. And even for years to come for me, I'm still going to be looking back to this video, seeing it as an experience, and more importantly, a step towards a new direction for myself. Whether it be 10, 20, or even 50 years from now, I'm still going to remember that morning that I was working on that video until the break of dawn. It wasn't something that needed to be done, but at the end, I believe that it was worth it. And that is why MisAnthro Pony on Save Keyframe Aftermath is the video that I am most proud of since I first started this channel on December 17th, 2014. Thank you for your time, and remember to take care of yourselves. MisAnthro Pony, over and out.